Every year, more than 4 million people visit one of America's most beloved national parks. They watch the geysers. They photograph the hot springs. They walk their children along the boardwalks above the bubbling ground. What almost none of them know is that they are standing on top of one of the most dangerous volcanic systems on Earth. Not a volcano, a supervolcano. And in 2025, artificial intelligence, listening to 15 years of underground recordings, revealed something the monitoring equipment had been missing for decades. The United States Geological Survey defines a supervolcano as a volcanic system that has produced at least one eruption greater than 1,000 cubic kilometers of material. That places it at magnitude 8, the highest level on the Volcanic Explosivity Index. To understand what that means, the 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens killed 57 people, flattened forests across 230 square miles, and sent ash across 11 states. It was one of the most destructive volcanic events in recorded American history. The last Yellowstone super eruption was 1,000 times more powerful than that. Yellowstone has erupted 3 times in the past 2 million years. First, 2.1 million years ago, then 1.3 million years ago, then 640,000 years ago. Each time, the ground above the emptied magma chamber collapsed inward, forming a caldera. The current Yellowstone caldera is 45 miles long and 30 miles wide. It is not a mountain. It is a crater so large that most visitors drive through it without realizing what they are inside. The ash from those eruptions did not stay in Wyoming. USGS confirmed that during the 3 caldera-forming eruptions, volcanic ash covered much of the western half of North America. Ash from the largest eruption, 2.1 million years ago, has been found as far east as Texas and as far north as the Dakotas. The USGS has modeled what a future Yellowstone super eruption would look like today. Within the immediate region, parts of Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho, pyroclastic flows would sweep the landscape. These are avalanches of superheated gas, ash, and rock moving at hundreds of miles per hour. Nothing in their path survives. Within 24 hours, ash would be falling across much of the United States and parts of Canada, bringing down power lines, contaminating water supplies, collapsing roofs, and halting air travel across the continent. Ash even a few millimeters deep shorts out electrical transformers. A few inches damages buildings and kills crops. Several feet buries everything. The sulfur dioxide released into the stratosphere would act as an aerosol, blocking sunlight and dropping global temperatures. Agriculture across the northern hemisphere would fail. According to the USGS, the effects on global weather patterns and agricultural production would last for 1 to 2 decades. The USGS calls this the least likely scenario. They say the probability in any given century is exceedingly low. What they said much more quietly is that the system is not asleep. Yellowstone is the most intensively monitored volcano on Earth. Seismometers, GPS stations, satellite radar, gas sensors, and temperature gauges blanket the park around the clock. The USGS Yellowstone Volcano Observatory publishes monthly reports. In those reports, the language is consistently reassuring. Background levels, normal activity, no signs of elevated unrest. Then, in July 2025, a study published in the journal Science Advances used artificial intelligence to reanalyze 15 years of seismic recordings from beneath Yellowstone. The AI found 86,000 earthquakes that the standard monitoring network had never detected. more than 10 times the number scientists thought were occurring. Tiny earthquakes, too small for human instruments to catch, happening in organized swarms beneath the caldera floor. The researchers were careful in their conclusions. They said the earthquakes were caused by steam and hot water pushing through cracks in the rock, not by rising magma. They said this was not a warning sign. But they also said this: their new catalog would allow scientists to detect patterns they had never seen before, patterns that had been invisible for 15 years. In the same year, the USGS confirmed that the ground along the north rim of the Yellowstone caldera had begun to uplift, rising measurably starting in July 2025. By November 2025, an earthquake swarm occurred directly on top of the center of that uplift. The USGS said it was very unlikely to lead to any volcanic eruption. They said it would teach them new lessons about how Yellowstone works. 86,000 hidden earthquakes, active ground uplift, a swarm sitting directly on top of it. Background levels. The USGS is not hiding anything. Their data is public. Their monthly reports are published. The scientists who work at the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory are some of the most respected volcanologists in the world. But there is a pattern worth noting. Every time new data reveals something unexpected beneath Yellowstone, 86,000 hidden earthquakes, a new phase of ground uplift, a swarm directly above the center of deformation, the public statement is the same. Nothing to worry about. Background levels. The system is stable. The question is not whether they are lying. The question is whether the reassurance is based on what they know or on what they do not yet know how to measure. Because here is what we do know. The USGS confirmed that if Yellowstone were building toward a super eruption, scientists would expect to see years of escalating signals. Persistent earthquake swarms with increasing magnitudes, sustained ground uplift measured in meters, dramatically increased gas emissions, and new thermal features appearing across the park. What we also know is that AI just found 86,000 signals the old instruments were not measuring at all. How many signals were missed in the years before the instruments existed to detect them? The Yellowstone caldera has been breathing for decades, uplifting and subsiding, swelling and settling. The ground beneath the most visited national park in America is not still. The USGS confirms Yellowstone averages between 1,500 and 2,500 earthquakes every single year. Most are too small to feel. The park sits above a magma reservoir that the USGS estimates is between 5 and 15% molten, and an eruption typically requires 50%. That means the magma is not ready. The USGS is clear on this. Scientists are not predicting an eruption. The alert level is normal. And yet, in 2025 alone, artificial intelligence found 86,000 earthquakes nobody knew were happening. The ground rose measurably along the caldera rim for 6 months. A swarm of earthquakes clustered directly above the center of that rise. More than 4 million people visited Yellowstone last year. They walked the boardwalks. They photographed the geysers. They drove through a caldera 45 miles long. The USGS says the probability of a super eruption in the next few thousand years is exceedingly low. They also just found 86,000 things they did not know were there. Hit the notification bell, because the ground beneath Yellowstone has been moving for decades, and we are only just beginning to hear what it is saying. The most visited national park in America is sitting on top of a supervolcano. Subscribe to Vanished History The ground is never as still as they tell you.